The Mexican free-tailed bat is the fastest mammal on Earth, not on the ground, in the air, 100 miles an hour. Horizontal, no diving assist. For context, that is faster than a cheetah. The cheetah gets all the documentary deals. The bat gets a bridge in Austin. There are 20 million of them living under a single bridge in Texas. 20 million. The Congress Avenue Bridge, downtown Austin, was renovated in 1980, and the new crevice design accidentally created perfect bat roost geometry. Nobody planned it. The bats moved in like someone left the door open at a warehouse party, and the city panicked. There were petitions to remove them. Exterminators were consulted, then someone did the math on what those 20 million bats were eating every night, and the city pivoted to selling t-shirts. They belong to the family Mollucidae, and yes, our illustration has given this bat the face of a fruit bat and the eyes of an anime character. For the record, Tadarita brasiliensis has a wrinkled bulldog face and beady little eyes. What you're looking at is the anatomical equivalent of a yearbook photo that does not look like the actual person, free-tailed because their tail sticks out past the membrane between their legs like a loose thread. The manufacturer forgot to tuck in. They weigh about half an ounce. Their wingspan is roughly a foot. They echolocate at frequencies humans cannot hear, navigate in complete darkness, and commute up to 50 miles each way per night for food. Their daily schedule makes a Silicon Valley engineer look relaxed. Every evening at dusk in the warm months, the colony emerges, 20 million bodies spiraling upward in a column visible on weather radar. Not metaphorically, the National Weather Service has flagged bat emergences as storm systems because the biomass is large enough to register. What they are doing is eating, specifically, they are eating corn earworm moths, cotton bollworms, fall armyworms, and a rotating cast of agricultural pests that would otherwise lay eggs on crops across south-central Texas. A single bat eats roughly its own body weight in insects per night. Scale that across the colony, and you get somewhere around 200 tons of insects consumed per night. What ecologists call this is a regulating service, and that is one of 4 categories of ecosystem services. Regulating services are the invisible work ecosystems do to keep conditions livable: climate regulation, flood control, water purification, pollination, pest control, disease suppression. If provisioning services are what the ecosystem hands you directly, food, water, medicine, regulating services are what the ecosystem does in the background, so the whole operation does not fall apart. And a single colony of Mexican free-tailed bats provides roughly $1.4 million per county per year in avoided crop damage and reduced pesticide costs across the Texas Corn Belt. Boyles and colleagues at Boston University estimated the total value of bat pest suppression to U.S. agriculture at $3.7 billion annually. That is billion with a B. That is not a metaphor. That is the invoice. So bat colony emerges at dusk, eats 200 tons of pest insects, fewer eggs on crops, farmers spray less, yields hold downstream waterways, carry less pesticide runoff. That is the chain. That is a regulating service. In 2006, a fungus showed up, Pseudogymnoasis destructans. It came from Europe, probably on someone's caving equipment, and it started killing bats. The disease is called white nose syndrome because the fungus grows visibly on the faces of hibernating bats. What it does is wake them up repeatedly during winter torpor. When their metabolic rate is supposed to be barely registering, the fungus irritates them awake over and over until they burn through their fat reserves and starve to death in their own roost. Since 2006, white nose syndrome has killed an estimated 6 to 7 million bats in North America. Some species have declined by 99%. The little brown bat, once the most common bat in the eastern United States, is functionally gone from large portions of its range. And here's the part that should interest anyone who eats food. In counties where bat populations collapsed, researchers documented statistically significant increases in pesticide applications in the following growing seasons. The bats disappeared, the moths came back, the farmers sprayed. That is not a model, that is field data. That is what happens when you lose a regulating service and nobody has a backup plan because nobody budgeted for one. The U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service has spent over $45 million on white nose syndrome research since 2008. That sounds like a lot. Until you remember the bats were doing $3.7 billion worth of work for free. Those are fruit bats. Those are clearly fruit bats. Mexican free-tailed bats weigh half an ounce and wedge themselves into bridge crevices by the thousand. Those animals look like they belong in a Borneo nature documentary, but anyway, I keep coming back to the math. $3.7 billion in pest suppression, and the entire species does it for the cost of being allowed to hang upside down under a bridge. We did not design that system. We cannot replicate it. We are watching it collapse in real time because a fungus hitched a ride on a boot, and the replacement plan is more chemicals on more fields. Thanks for watching. If any part of this made you reconsider what a bat is worth, subscribe. We cover a new species every episode, and every single one of them is holding up something you did not know was load-bearing. See you next time.